Does anyone remember when Soul Taker was good? What's up, people? Welcome back to the channel. So this is a series that I kind of want to start pretty much talking about good cards of yesteryear. So pretty much these are either going to be cards that were really good back in the day, or cards that maybe were extremely obscure or kind of had no reason for being good, but simply because it was because of a certain format or because of certain things kind of coming together in retrospect. So if you like what you're doing, please feel free to like and subscribe. If not, it's all cool. We are trying to get to 500 subscribers. We got a cool giveaway plan when we get there. So with all that way, let's go ahead and get into the card. So Soul Taker is an extremely interesting card. It is a normal trap card, which effect reads: target one face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy that target, then your opponent gains 1,000 life points. So I know like some of you guys are kind of like thinking like, hold up, a card that essentially gives your opponent 1,000 life points and targets, which like essentially a lot of cards are untargetable, but like it pretty much just destroys a targeted monster and then has your opponent gain life points. That is just the worst thing you could possibly activate. You have so many better ways to remove monsters, especially in the modern day of Yu-Gi-Oh! But to be honest, this card was not good in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! This card was good around the end of 2011, beginning of 2012, during Chaos Dragon format. So there was a Chaos structure deck, pretty much called it was called Dragons Collide, if I'm not mistaken, and essentially it released the blueprint for one of the early Chaos Dragon builds, which pretty much had you playing Dark Flare Dragon and one of the main monsters, which was a Light Pulsar Dragon, which essentially back in early Yu-Gi-Oh! Before you had a lot of removal, and also when a lot of other kind of suppressive and removal type cards were pretty much banned, and also this is before people realized that you could just flip Vanity's emptiness and just stop all that madness. Essentially, like, Chaos Dragons were extremely oppressive, and one of the reasons why is because Light Pulsar was just so good at being able to, like, every time you would try to get rid of it, it would be able to special summon a dark level 5 or higher dragon. So essentially you were always able to kind of like, have some kind of recurgence, have something good for next turn, especially kind of back in the day. And that if a lot of you play Edison, you guys know Edison is a little bit, like, weaker. This deck came out around the time Edison was kind of like starting to fade away, and we started going into the XYZ era. And to be honest, the reason why Soul Taker was good was because Light Pulsar was a when effect. So for those of you who don't know, when a Yu-Gi-Oh card says when, it'll do something called missing the timing. Missing the timing is when is just pretty much missing the timing is when an effect needs to be the last thing in the chain for it to resolve. But if there's some kind of effect that happens at resolution that doesn't allow a certain effect to be the last thing, then the effect would essentially miss timing. I know it's a little confusing. I'll probably do a video explaining miss the timing like pretty soon, but there's a lot of other people that are way better at explaining this kind of stuff that release that video. But because of that because of that weird, I shouldn't say weird, but because of that Yu-Gi-Oh ruling of missing the timing, Light Pulsar needed to be the last thing in the chain to resolve. So for example, if you activated Dark Hole and you had a Light Pulsar, the Light Pulsar would, Dark Hole would resolve, destroying Light Pulsar. That'd be the last thing that happened, and Light Pulsar would be able to activate. But Soul Taker was a little bit different because it targeted the monster, destroyed it, but the last thing that happened was your opponent gaining the 1,000 life points. So instead of your opponent being able to activate Light Pulsar, he was forced to gain 1,000 life points, missing his opportunity to put Light Pulsar on the chain, which pretty much completely shut the deck down. Like, I understand it's kind of weird, like, okay, you take away one one avenue the deck's already done. Back in the day when Yu-Gi-Oh was way slower, something like that was just way more impactful. And on top of that, like I said, you also had a lot of other cards that were kind of still the ban list. You didn't have a lot of removal like you have now in the day. There was no kaijus, there was no Lightning Storm to be able to, Lightning Storm, Dark Hole, Rageki to so that way you could just be like, okay, I'm gonna also, there's no triple attack this talent, there's no activate Dark Hole, destroy, activate effect, activate talent, steal the monster. There wasn't any of that shenanigans. it was very hard to deal with. So this pretty much put Soul Taker in an interesting position to where this was one of the best cards to use to combat against Chaos Dragons. Even though it wasn't the best card, it was used in so many different deck lists as either in the main deck or in the side deck to make sure that you had that deck in check. And alright guys, that's gonna be it for the video. To be honest, if you guys have any other cards that you kind of like, that you kind of think might fit the, this criteria, let me know in the comments down below. I'm gonna be releasing some more, some more videos talking about some older series cards. Until then, peace out, and I'll catch you in the next one.